In the quiet, fog-draped town of Ravenshade, silence was the norm.
But at 1:13 a.m., that silence was shattered by a single chilling phone call to the police.
He's inside. And then, nothing. Officers rushed through the narrow streets of Silverpine Road, their flashlights cutting through the thick fog.
They arrived at an old, abandoned house, its front door slightly ajar, the faint glow of light spilling into the darkness.
Inside, the only clue that greeted them was a trail of wet footprints. Footprints that led deep into the house. And then simply stopped. No sound, no struggle, no sign of a body.
Just the impossible impression that someone or something had entered silently and vanished without a trace. For the residents of Ravenshade, it was the beginning of a nightmare they would never forget.
A darkness lurking closer than they could ever imagine.
The house on Silverpine Road stood shrouded in darkness, fog curling around its old wooden frame. Streetlights flickered weakly, casting long, distorted shadows across the frost-covered ground.
As officers stepped inside, an unsettling silence enveloped them.
There were no signs of struggle, no broken windows, no forced entry, no sounds of a struggle, only the footprints. Wet, unnatural footprints that led through the hallway.
And then disappeared completely.
It was as if someone, or something, had passed through the house without ever touching the floor.
Every corner of the home seemed alive with a quiet menace.
The air was heavy, the faint scent of damp wood lingering.
Officers shone their flashlights into each room, but no body, no weapon, no clue of human presence could be found. And in that moment, it became clear.
This was not a normal crime. Something unseen had entered, and Ravenshade would never feel safe again. Mara Lindell, a 32-year-old librarian, had always been quiet and reserved. But in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, neighbors noticed a change and unease in her eyes, a nervous glance over her shoulder, a whisper repeated over and over.
"He's watching me." The police arrived at her home, searching every corner. No signs of forced entry. No struggle. No body.
Only her diary remained, left open on her desk, with the final line hauntingly written. "He always comes when the forest sleeps." The words sent chills down the spines of those who read them.
They hinted at something patient, deliberate, and invisible. A predator that moved unseen in the shadows. For Ravenshade, Mara's disappearance was more than a mystery, it was a warning. And the town would soon realize that the darkness had only begun to creep through their streets. 2 days after Mara's disappearance, a chilling clue emerged. A strange wooden symbol was found near her home, matching the carving in her diary. The case was no longer local, the FBI stepped in, and Agent Cole Merrick was assigned to lead the investigation.
The footprints were baffling, shaped like human feet, but with no dirt, no sand, no grass.
They were perfect, and yet impossible.
Agent Merrick inspected every inch of the house, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. The air was thick, heavy with an unexplainable tension. Something had crossed the threshold and vanished. No trace, no sound, nothing. The town of Ravenshade was beginning to realize that this was not just a crime. It was something far darker, something unseen, silent, and relentless.
Just days after Mara disappeared, another resident vanished, truck driver Evan Brooks. CCTV captured him locking his garage late at night. A brief flicker. Static. And then, in just 1.3 seconds, Evan was gone.
No struggle, no signs of a break-in, no footprints leading away.
A man vanished in the blink of an eye. Investigators were stunned. The impossible had become reality. The town's unease grew into terror, as it became clear. Whoever, or whatever, was responsible, moved unseen and unstoppable. Ravenshade was no longer just a quiet town. It was the stage for a predator that left no trace, only fear. At Evan Brooks' home, investigators discovered something truly chilling, a message on the wall. "He walks without sound." Forensics were baffled. It wasn't written with ink, paint, or marker.
The wall itself seemed to form the letters, as if guided by a hand that didn't belong to a human being. A silent, unseen force had made its mark.
The team felt a creeping dread, realizing that this was no ordinary criminal.
Someone or something was moving undetected, leaving terror in its wake. Ravenshade was facing an invisible predator, one that could strike at any time, in any place.
And the town would never feel safe again. Both Mara and Evan had whispered the same words before disappearing. "Someone is watching me."
Investigators noticed a pattern emerging: footprints, symbols, CCTV glitches. All pointing to a presence no one could see.
A predator invisible yet deliberate.
The air in Ravenshade grew heavy with fear.
Even the most rational minds began to question reality. Silent. Deadly. Untraceable.
The ordinary life of Ravenshade had vanished. The town was now caught in a dark design, a chilling sequence of events that no one could escape. And the nightmare was only beginning. The ancient Ravenshade forest had always been a place of whispers and legends. Locals said it was alive, and on this night, it seemed to awaken. Another call came in, chilling the hearts of everyone listening. "I saw him, he has no face." Before authorities could trace the call, it went dead. Officers rushed to the forest, flashlights cutting through the thick fog. But no one was there, only a single fresh footprint. 1 foot. 1 step. And it disappeared into the shadows. The forest itself seemed to be guiding something, or someone. Ravenshade had entered a realm of fear it could never escape. And the darkness was spreading further with every heartbeat. Ravenshade was no longer a town of missing persons. It had become the stage for something far darker, something beyond human understanding.
The FBI realized the terrifying truth: this was not the work of a normal criminal. Not a stalker. Not a human predator. Something else. Something nameless.
Moved in the shadows, leaving fear in its wake. The footprints, the symbols, the impossible disappearances. All pointed to an invisible force orchestrating the terror. For the people of Ravenshade, the nightmare had only just begun. And the darkness would not rest until it claimed its next victim.